History is usually told as a collection of remarkable people. I prefer to ask quite a question. What sort of world made them possible? Before we look at the maps of conquest, we must look at the man. Gaius Julius Caesar was a paradox wrapped in a silk toga. He was a man of the highest birth who lived in Rome's lowest quarters. He was fastidious, obsessed with his appearance, thinning hair carefully combed forward, his body groomed with an almost feminine precision, yet he was comfortable in the mud of a trench. He possessed a terrific energy. He was a master of swiftness. It is said he could dictate 4 different letters to 4 different secretaries at once, all while riding a horse at full gallop. He was charming, witty, and possessed of a chillingly objective mind. He did not see the world as it should be, he saw it as it was, a collection of forces to be mastered. He was a man who lived at a higher frequency than those around him, and that speed could be both his greatest weapon and his eventual undoing. Caesar did not invent the Roman crisis, but he became its personification. To understand Caesar is to understand what happens when individual momentum outpaces the structural integrity of a 1,000-year-old system. He was a man of immense scale, possessed of terrifying speed, yet he lacked the one quality that preserves a legacy: the wisdom of restraint. Imagine a boy born into a contradiction. In the year 100 BC, Caesar entered a family that claimed descent from the goddess Venus herself. Yet, this divine lineage lived in the Sabra, Rome's densest and loudest slum. He grew up watching the Republic crack under the dictator Sulla. Sulla eventually spared the young Caesar from his execution lists, but he noted with a cold eye, "In this Caesar, there are many Mariuses." How does a child of the slums, hunted by the state, learn to trust the law? He didn't. He learned to trust the spectacle. When captured by pirates in 75 BC, he didn't tremble, he laughed. He told them that once free, he would return and crucify them all. They thought it was a joke. He returned and did exactly that. He understood early that in a world of brittle institutions, the man who acts with the most certainty becomes the new law. But to change the law, he first needed a machine that could bypass it. By the year 60 BC, Rome was a stagnant pond. The Senate was a wall of old trees blocking all the light. To break through, Caesar realized he needed more than just popularity. He needed a collision of forces. He engineered the first triumvirate. It was a masterpiece of political geometry, a binding together 3 men who fundamentally mistrusted each other. There was Pompey the Great, the military titan who had the soldiers. There was Crassus, the man of gold who had the treasury. And then there was Caesar, the political lightning rod. He was the glue. He traded his dignity for their power, passing the laws they needed in exchange for the one thing he craved: a path to Gaul. This was the 3-headed monster. It was a bridge built of ambition, and Caesar used it to walk straight into the wilderness. But if Rome was the stage, Gaul would become the forge. For 8 years, starting in 58 BC, Caesar disappeared into the north. Gaul was not just a campaign, it was a factory for his myth. While the Senate debated, Caesar was building bridges across the Rhine and sailing to Britain. He was building an army that served the man, not the state. He lived in the mud with them. He knew their names. But as his scale grew, the Republic felt itself being pushed out of its own house. In 49 BC, the Senate demanded he return as a private citizen to face trial. They wanted to strip his imperium. At the Rubicon, he didn't just cross a stream, he crossed 1,000 years of Roman history. Alla Iacta Est. The die is cast. Caesar moved with a velocity that baffled the world, chasing his rival Pompey across the sea to the Egypt. It was there in 48 BC that Caesar's momentum met a different kind of force, Cleopatra. She was smuggled to him inside a laundry bag, a tactical masterstroke that appealed to Caesar's love for the audacious. In Cleopatra, Caesar found a mind as sharp as his own, but she lived in a world of absolute power. For a man who had spent his life fighting the Roman Senate, the Egyptian scale of kingship was intoxicating. Then came Caesarion, little Caesar, the son born of their union. For the first time, Caesar had a biological heir. The child changed the geometry of Caesar's ambition. He was no longer just a Roman general, he was the father of the king. But as he looked at his son in a palace of gold, did he forget that he still had to go home to a city of marble and law? When Caesar returned Rome in 46 BC, he brought Cleopatra with him. It was a misstep of a catastrophic proportions. He installed her in a villa across the Tiber. He placed a golden statue of her in a Roman temple. To the Romans, this was a signal that Caesar's mind had moved east. His legendary restraint, the ability to read the Roman room, began to fail him. He started to believe his own myth. He was named Dictator for life in early 44 BC. He sat on a golden throne. He had replaced his Roman pragmatism with an Egyptian sense of permanence. He reformed the calendar, the Julian calendar, taking control of time itself. He began the Forum Caesaris, placing his family temple at the heart of the city. He famously said, "The Republic is nothing, a mere name without body or form." He was right, but in saying it out loud, he broke the spell. He had become a man who could conquer Gaul in winter, but could no longer see the daggers being sharpened in the shadow of his own statue. On the Ides of March 44 BC, Caesar walked into a portico of Pompey unarmed. He had dismissed his guards. He believed that the sheer scale of his person was enough to protect him. He was wrong. The conspirators did not just hate the man, they hated the idea of little Caesar one day ruling the Rome. 23 wounds ended the life of the man who had outrun every other obstacle. As he saw Brutus, his friend, pulled his toga over his eyes. The river had finally hit the sea. Caesar's tragedy was that he lost his lens. In the arms of a queen and the eyes of a son, he forgot that his power was built on Roman myths, not Egyptian gold. He mastered the momentum of his age, but he failed the test of restraint. He left behind a vacuum that only another century of blood could fill. If this way of looking at history is useful, your support keeps it going. Next time, we look to the man who learned from the blood on the floor. Caesar's heir, Augustus, would face the same mountain but choose a different path. It's worth asking, can one hold total power while pretending to have none at all? We shall observe the art of the pause in the next episode.